My inconsistent friend treats me unfairly, so I decided not to attend her birthday party. I've been working here for 8 months and we just started off as regular co-workers. Then we went out with other co-workers, and before that she added me on Snapchat. We texted sometimes and really got along, especially at work. Problem is, this behavior wasn't consistent. I've never really been one to look into friendships like this, but this time I'm confused. One day we'd be texting and everything would be fine, and another day it would take her 12 hours on average to respond to one of my texts. Also at work, she has another friend that is named Jack. Jack and her get along really well, and they always talk to each other every single shift. She talks to Jack constantly every single day. Which is fine because that's what coworkers do, but here is my point. With me it's kind of on and off. One day we'll barely talk, and even when I go into work she wouldn't say hello when I wave to her, but more or less make this really awkward and uncomfortable face, kind of tucking her lips in and raising her eyebrows. But other days we would have awesome conversations plus high-fiving all the time. Even on those days she was blunt that I would try to start conversations, she would still be really dry and refuse to talk to me. While other days she would randomly point things out just to make a conversation with me or shout my name from the other side of the building just to smile and say what just happened. Confusing. Anyways, she was doing a get-together for her birthday. This person is a little bit older, so the people going to this get-together are in their late 20s, and she's in her mid-20s. Now I'm pretty young, 19, but since we get along so well some days, and hung out 2 times outside of work without any awkwardness, doing fun things and going fun places, I was sure it was gonna be fine, right? So I asked her if I could come. She said, if you want, sure. I would rather hear no than that. Because usually what that means in my case is, I feel bad for you because you don't really have too many friends outside of this place, so yeah, I'll let you come if you want to. I just kind of felt unwanted in that group setting. I feel more like I was more tolerated than accepted, if that makes sense. So anyways, I told her yesterday the birthday was today that I will not be making it because of personal issues. I honestly feel like in a hole for not going and then stopping the communications I have with her. But then again, I feel like that would just be fake. Story 2. Aita for not letting my dad touch me. My father, 42 male, has always been physically affectionate because it's one of his love languages. He cares so much about having a close relationship with me and my younger sister and about being present in our lives. But I don't like it, and it really hurts his feelings. When I 14 non-binary was younger, I had long, naturally curly hair and I didn't know how to keep it from getting tangled. When my dad would run his fingers through my hair, kind of a petting thing, he'd snag tangles then try to pull them out. This really hurt, so I'd push him away or tell him to stop, but he told me that refusing it made him feel hurt and unappreciated, so I cut my hair short in 5th grade. After realizing that I like many aspects of the style, I kept it and haven't had long hair since. When I mentioned a while ago that I cut it to get my dad to stop hurting me, he got really upset at me and told me a little more about his childhood and how his parents never cared and why he tries so hard with us. I felt awful. We had a great conversation and I apologized, but then he moved in to hug me. I put my arms in front of me and said no, kind of panicked tone. This was a knee-jerk reaction, not conscious, and then my dad left the house angrily and slammed the door. When I'm emotional, my dad offers me a hug and I'm supposed to take it, even if I feel worse, because my dad really wants to comfort me. My dad has explained how his parents were super removed and unresponsive, and he said he never wants us to feel that way because he is a super great dad. After this, I reflected and realized how much I hate it when I'm touched. Since then, I've tried to set boundaries with my dad, but I can't tell him not to touch me at all, obviously, because he'll ask why and I can't tell him. It makes my skin crawl. When I try to set boundaries like, don't touch me when I'm emotional or tell me before you hug me, those boundaries aren't respected. So I've started saying no or don't clearly when he tries now. He'll try to ask for specific boundaries, but he ignores them within the hour, and he's equally offended when I remind him of a boundary as when I set one. I know it's hurting him because he's told me, and I know how much he cares, but I'm doing it anyway, and I know I'm probably overreacting. So Aita. Story 3. I took over someone's lease and now live with 3 girls. We have 2 parking spots in the garage, and the 2 girls that were already living in the apartment took those spots because they were the only ones with cars. This left me with no parking spot when I moved in, so I have to street park every day. I live in a very busy neighborhood. I think it's kind of an unspoken rule of first come first serve, so I never really asked if we can share the parking space. One of the roommates confronted me today and asked if I can contribute more to the house chore, specifically taking out the trash, putting the trash cans out, bringing them in. I told her, of course. Then can we all share the parking space and take turns in street parking? She looked confused by this and said that has nothing to do with it. If we're all trying to be equal with chores, shouldn't we be equal with parking privilege? I thought I was being reasonable, but her confusion said otherwise. The 2 garage parking spots are $25 a month, so they do pay for it. Story 4. I 32 male bailed on a dinner that my oldest friend 32 male had talked about for a few weeks. My buddy lives out of the city for the last year, coming back once in a while. He and I talked a lot about going to KBBQ on one of 2 days, Wednesday or Tuesday, when he and I were free. Leading up to the Tuesday-Wednesday, it was seemingly set in stone we were going to do with one other mutual who I also spoke to see weekly for rock climbing. The 3 of us were down. On the Sunday, they both start to suggest other food. Monday, they say, maybe Korean fried chicken, but I was pretty adamant I wanted, since it had been a month since I had been there, and more than 6 months since I had been with my boy. On Tuesday I mentioned it again around 5 p.m. asking if we could just do, but one of them didn't respond, and the one that did saying, the timing just doesn't work out. No big deal. So my friend and I went to my usual spot. I reach out to my best friend who is staying close by with his parents and let him know I was at our spot with my friend and he should come. As I send it, he says he is getting too, and another mutual smacks me on the back, asking me if I'm on a date. I was a little shocked to look over and see our friend group at a table, 6 people with my 2 buddies there eating. So I went over and was like, is this why you guys didn't want to do? They were like, no, it's not that deep, and I went back to my table. The rest of the evening I just felt awkward as HLL. Didn't know how to address feeling left out. And at 1 a.m. my best bud messaged me to see how I was feeling, saying, yay, I figured you would feel some type of way. After that convo, which I decided to drop, I told him I would be down to grab food tomorrow Wednesday, agreed on skewers, which was all good. Later in the day he mentioned that all the people he was at dinner the night before and him were going to go rock climbing before dinner. I had sprained my ankle at the start of the year and had been openly staying away from it to avoid injury before jobs, so I declined climbing. Around 7 p.m. get a Google Maps location text from my boy saying be here for 9 p.m., a location about 25 minutes from me. I told him I have to work at 6 a.m. next day, so I was hoping we would be eating around 67 and that I couldn't make it. I was also a little salty about the night before and hate that after all this delegation location changed again. Still feeling some type of way. I feel like I was being in a hole for canceling dinner. But as I type this, I guess it still happened, just not with me. I feel like because my buddy just shortened his trip to go back home a week early because his girl needs help with their new puppy back home. So I actually won't get to see him for another few months. I feel guilty I didn't make the time for him while he was here. I feel petty as heck. So, aita for bailing on dinner, or am I just being a sensitive a hole? Story 5. So I'm a twin, my brother and I hang out all the time and we are super close. In a few days it's our 25th birthday. We share the same friend group and we're all really close and have been since school. He has a close group of girlfriends, about 5 of them, who I have also known for many years. I would class them as being closer with him in recent years, but we are all still good friends and socialize often together. Now, I have been added to a group chat labeled My Brother's Name Surprise Dinner. It is a surprise birthday dinner for my twin brother organized by one of the girls in that group, and they have invited me as a guest. One of them also said in the group that it would be nice to see me as well, so I just feel like an afterthought. I wouldn't really have minded if the girls wanted to organize a surprise birthday evening exclusively for my brother and themselves, but they have also invited my partner and some of my brother and I's closest friends. This feels inconsiderate and quite upsetting, as I can't understand why I would be invited to my literal twin brother's surprise birthday dinner with me only invited as a guest, as it is also my birthday involving all of our friends. My girlfriend also found this action to be extremely rude and wondered why this girl didn't just reach out to her, and then they could have organized a surprise involving both of us instead, or have just involved both my brother and I and left the surprise element out of it. In the chat, it is clearly stated that we are all to arrive at one time, while my brother is due to arrive 20 minutes later. The thought of attending makes me feel weird because it's just a celebration for his birthday when him and I are literally born on the same day. This isn't new information to the organizer. Also, every year my brother and I do something together because we want to, and because we have the same friends. Last year our friends and my girlfriend set up a massive dinner for our birthday to which everyone was invited, including the girl group. So now I'm at a crossroads. I don't know whether or not to attend. On one hand, if I don't go I will feel left out because our mutual friends are going. But on the other hand, if I do go, I will feel like I am letting myself be disrespected, and I will likely feel uncomfortable as it feels like only my brother is being celebrated. So, wibta if I took a stand and didn't go.